I'd like to start off by saying I love the Tesla vision to transition the world to sustainable energy. Fun fact, I studied sustainability and green technology as an undergrad. Got a little obsessed and definitely took myself too seriously. Check this out.
Hello, I'd like to share with you my vision for a sustainable future. Imagine a world where your grandkids struggle to meet their most basic needs. If modern consumption and environmental problems are not addressed now, this scenario might become all too real. My ultimate goal is to empower students to seek innovative solutions to the challenges of sustainability.
That was my YouTube debut. Yikes. However, this doesn't mean I think Tesla will be the dominant electric vehicle maker in the future. I'm going to argue that in the long term, Tesla will lose its competitive edge and sexiness factor and regress to the mean, becoming a very average automaker. I may even be so persuasive that you turn around and sell your entire position. So get that Robinhood app open or whatever app you kids are using to trade these days. Before we jump in, hit the like and subscribe buttons below. It'll teach the YouTube algorithm that newbies matter too. Tesla has a long way to fall. Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's right-hand man, had this to say about Tesla.
My thoughts are two. I would never buy it, and I would never sell short.
When Charlie drops nuggets of wisdom, we should all listen. He won't buy because this company may be the most overpriced company in the history of publicly traded companies. Seriously, I don't even know how this is possible. When I checked this morning, Tesla's price to earnings ratio was 1,088. What this means is that investors buying the stock today are willing to pay over 1,000 times more than the company earned over the last 12 months for the privilege of ownership. For reference, value investors typically won't pay more than 20 times earnings for a stock, and the historic average that stocks on the S&P 500 have sold for is about 16 times their recent earnings. Now, I'm not saying that I won't or that you shouldn't ever pay more than 20 times earnings for a stock, but this is absolutely insane. In order for Tesla to be worth its current valuation, the company's profit will need to increase in a massive way. The stock is so high that every conceivable thing will need to go right for them over the next decade and probably longer to justify its price. And right now in 2021 is when competition is poised to heat up. Other companies like General Motors and Volkswagen are going to challenge the first mover advantage that Tesla has been enjoying in a big way. By the way, I did the math. Want to know what the share price would have to be for Tesla to have a price to earnings ratio of only 20? 13. Yes, you heard me right, $13 per share. I'm pretty sure it's going for around 700 right now. Also, if you'd like to understand more about price to earnings to determine if it's a good time to buy a particular stock, I made a video on that. You can click up here to watch it. I want to talk about the two areas that I think are the most important keys to Tesla's future success. If Tesla can master these two areas, then I concede, and I admit that they're worth their current valuation. These areas are battery technology and full self-driving. Let's jump in and start by talking about battery technology. From all the media frenzy and hype, you might think that Tesla is miles ahead of their competition. The reality is, when first released, the Model S and X use lithium-ion 18650 batteries, which were first introduced in the 1990s to power basic electronics. But they never really caught on. Then, in 2017, Tesla began using slightly modified versions of these 18650 batteries. The new batteries, called 2170s, were manufactured by Panasonic, were slightly larger, and came standard in the Model 3 and Model Y released last year. These batteries were incrementally better, nothing earth-shattering. Just picture 4,000 of these crammed together in a battery pack. One thing I learned in business school that really stuck with me was a discussion we had on something called the VRIO Framework. Now stick with me here. This basically says that for a company to maintain a sustained competitive advantage, or a competitive advantage over the long haul, and dominate their competition, they need to have resources that are valuable, rare, inimitable, which means not easily copied, and well organized. Companies need to have all four in place to become titans in their industry. So let's go one by one. Are Tesla's batteries valuable? Yes, no question. Are they rare? No. While they do contain rare metals like cobalt, the building blocks of the batteries are essentially commodities that any competitor can buy as well. Are they inimitable or not easily copied? No, there's other companies, including BYD, CATL, and LG, that produce batteries with similar energy densities at a reasonable cost. Also, Tesla has begun using CATL batteries in all the Model 3s that are sold in the Chinese market. That signals to me that the competition is up to par, but I'd bet that there are political or regulatory forces at play as well. Lastly, is Tesla well organized? I would say absolutely yes. Giga Nevada, the future Giga Austin, Giga Berlin, they're all deploying high-speed motion assemblies that are incredibly fast and efficient at manufacturing battery cells. Tesla nails that one. So let's recap. Tesla meets 2 out of the 4 VRIO criteria, and therefore does not have a competitive advantage that's likely to be sustained over many years. Now you might be saying, Keena, what about all the improvements and upgrades that Tesla announced at Battery Day in September of 2020? In their presentation, Tesla unveiled a roadmap for the future of technological innovation. These include larger beer can-shaped 4680 battery cells and tabless electrodes. Both of these are proven technologies that will roll out later this year. They also discussed novel ways to increase the percentage of silicon embedded in the cell, dry battery electrode manufacturing, high nickel cathodes, and more. That techno-babble sounds really impressive. Now, we already know that the 4680 batteries and the tabless electrode design is feasible, will improve performance and range, and will likely be manufactured starting later this year. These 4680 batteries will also be cheaper to produce, which matters a whole heck of a lot more than the performance improvements, as Tesla will soon be grappling with many other auto producers to hit lower price points and capture a larger percentage of market share. There's just one problem. As we can see from this Forbes article, there are already batteries on the market with similar energy densities that hit a lower price point than Tesla's new 4680. You can see the Panasonic 2710 battery at the top of the chart. This is the battery used in the Model 3 and Model Y. You can also see the 4680 and the price point that it hits. This battery should debut in Tesla's Plaid Plus line later in 2021. We also see the batteries manufactured by the 2 Chinese companies, CATL and BYD, as well as the competition from LG at a slightly higher price point. From the graph, you can see that CATL's lithium ion phosphate battery is 15% cheaper than Tesla's 4680. In addition, it appears that Tesla plans to increase, not decrease, its dependence on other battery manufacturers moving forward, as the demand is expected to be sky high and shortages are anticipated. At the same time, we see Panasonic, which has been an exclusive supplier to Tesla and a partner at Giga Nevada, revising their strategy to include other EV automakers. Last month, Panasonic's CEO, Katsuhiro Tasuga, said that, quote, "At some point, we need to graduate from our one-legged approach of relying solely on Tesla. So it looks like Panasonic will be pivoting and selling to other auto manufacturers in the future." We also see General Motors investing heavily in battery production, announcing in March of 2021 a joint venture with Solid Energy Systems, a Singapore-based company, to produce batteries that can go 500 to 600 miles on a single charge. And Volkswagen, which unveiled what they are calling a unified prismatic cell design during their own battery event in March of 2021. Volkswagen also pulled an April Fool's prank, successfully convincing several news outlets that they were rebranding to Volkswagen, which seems to have ruffled some feathers. Perhaps nobody is interested in pranks from the company that brought us the Dieselgate emissions scandal. At the end of the day, it's clear that Tesla's lead in the battery space is slim, and their likelihood of winning the battle for battery supremacy is uncertain. More than likely, Tesla will be neck and neck with other battery manufacturers, which is great news for us as consumers, but bad news for Tesla's business and its shareholders. Let's talk about the other area that's key to Tesla's future success: full self-driving and the autonomous taxi network. The idea that our cars will drive us, safely navigating streets, avoiding obstacles, and allowing us to focus on other more important activities while in transit is undeniably cool. The implications of full self-driving are enormous. I actually wrote an article on this for Brookings back in 2015, pointing to the drastic decreases in speeding tickets, DUIs, and auto-related fatalities that are sure to come. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Full Level 5 autonomous driving will completely reshape the ride-sharing industry, making it much more affordable for customers. The ability to call a robo-taxi at a moment's notice and for a fraction of the cost of an Uber or a Lyft will cause many to stop buying personal vehicles altogether, thereby decreasing parking issues in urban areas and cutting down on rush hour traffic. An autonomous taxi network is, without question, Tesla's end goal. Every car they sell ships with all the technology and hardware required for full self-driving, regardless of if the owner paid to have it enabled in the software or not. They have migrated all the physical buttons and controls to the touch panel so that the vehicle owner can lock down areas of the car, say the glove box or the front trunk, before sending it to work as a robotaxi. And the smooth lines and materials selected for the interiors were chosen with easy cleaning in mind. If successful, Tesla will force ride-sharing companies into bankruptcy and create an additional income stream for Tesla owners who wish to have their car function as a robotaxi when not in use, say when they're on vacation or even during the day while they're at work. So, will Tesla emerge as the industry leader in full self-driving technology? It's possible, but in no way is this certain. For starters, there are dozens of companies working on this technology. Of these, Waymo, which is a subsidiary of Alphabet like Google, is probably the biggest threat. To understand the difference between Tesla, Waymo, and other autonomous driving companies, we first need to talk about the two key technological systems being employed to develop autonomous driving. These two technologies are camera-driven systems and Lidar systems. Camera systems operate much in the same way as the human eye. Images are fed from sensors placed all around the car, and machine learning systems develop advanced neural networks to identify objects, judge distances and movements of other vehicles, read signs with optical character recognition technology, and ultimately navigate the vehicle safely to its final destination. Because these optical systems can struggle to detect distance accurately, especially during inclement weather, they're commonly augmented with radar and ultrasonic technologies to detect range and distance. Lidar systems, on the other hand, operate differently. Lidar, which stands for light detection and ranging, uses pulses of light to detect objects, much like how bats use echolocation to map their environment. These systems are more expensive and require a lot more compute power, as the Lidar data is used to create three-dimensional maps of the world. Tesla has put all their eggs in the camera-driven basket, whereas Waymo, as well as most other self-driving companies, are using Lidar systems or hybrid systems that take advantage of both Lidar and cameras. Elon Musk has been very vocal about his stance against Lidar.
Let's get to your slam on Lidar, because it's pretty clear you don't like Lidar. And this
Lidar's lame. Lidar is lame. And in cars, it's friggin' stupid. It's expensive and unnecessary, and as Andre was saying, once you solve vision, it's worthless.
If that is true, what happens to the rest of the industry that's building their autonomy solutions on Lidar?
They're all gonna dump Lidar, that's my prediction. Mark my words.
On the flip side, earlier this year, Waymo CEO John Krafcik took shots at Tesla by saying that Tesla is, quote, developing a really good driver assistance system, while Waymo, quote, manufactures a completely autonomous driving system. He said, for us, Tesla is not a competitor at all. Proponents of Tesla will point to the fact that the company collects many orders of magnitude more data than any of its competitors, as each Tesla on the road is essentially a sensor, sending autonomous data back to the company at all times. And while this may be true, it also might not matter if it turns out that camera-driven systems alone can't handle all aspects of full self-driving, and that the integration of Lidar systems or embedded roadway sensors is necessary as well. To me, this seems a bit like the Betamax versus VHS debate, or the HD DVD versus Blu-ray debate. There's a lot of promising signs for all the technologies involved, but it's too soon to see who'll win out in the end. And without a solid guarantee that Tesla's full self-driving technology will significantly outpace the competition, the company is worth nowhere near its massively inflated stock price. In conclusion, Tesla's first mover advantage and clever marketing has created the illusion that the company is light years ahead of the competition in its battery technology and in its self-driving systems. In reality, the batteries employed in Tesla's vehicles are not patented, and virtually any other automotive company can replicate the battery packs used by Tesla. And if the remarks from Panasonic's CEO last month hold true, it looks like the joint venture between Tesla and Panasonic at Giga Nevada is coming to an end, as Panasonic is looking to sell to GM, Volkswagen, and other automotive makers as they enter the EV space. In my view, it's a coin toss whether Elon's big bet on camera systems will pay off. And even if it does, there are dozens of other autonomous driving companies, including Google's Waymo, that will compete neck and neck to deliver similar capabilities to all of Tesla's competition. And for these reasons, I believe that Tesla will slowly regress to the mean over the next 10 to 15 years, becoming average, no more special than any of the other automakers in existence today. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button below. And let me know in the comments if you think I'm absolutely crazy or if you agree. See you all in the next one. Thanks.